and welcome everybody. Today, as a kind of finish up of the series we've been doing, I'm going to talk a little bit about breath and meditation. But before we go on with that, let's do the sniffing introduction to stimulate our brains and improve alertness. So we're going to do 8 sniffs in 2 lots of 4, like picking grapes, but just sitting down without moving our bodies. So we're going to be doing 2 lots of 4 sniffs. So let's do that. We'll do 5 rounds. Here we go. Sniffing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And relax. Now, I didn't give you much time to exhale, so you've got to forcibly exhale to keep up. And that's also the good, forcibly exhaling through the mouth. Let's do 3 more. Remember, if you feel dizzy, strange, you get pins and needles at any point, just stop, breathing through your nose and mouth into cupped hands. Always look after yourself. Be your own authority. There's no right way. We're all individual. 3 more sets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's relax the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. Relaxing with the whole body. When you're breathing out at the end, you relax the whole body. So you've got stimulation of alertness and relaxation. The ideal state to be in, alert and relaxed. Alert and relaxed. Alert and relaxed. Relax the shoulders. The shoulders resting on the top of the spine, as it were. Just imagine that the shoulders are resting on the top of the spine. They don't actually, but you feel as if they're resting on the top of your spine. So there's a T, the erect column of your spine and your shoulders. And you're in the center. You're aligned with your spine. Your shoulders are both relaxed. You relax them both so they become somewhat equal in the way they feel. They're never completely equal in the way they feel. That T, your shoulders on top of your spine, that centers, relaxes. I'm relaxed and centered and alert. Very good. Meditation. What is meditation? There are many forms of meditation, but the basis of meditation is just one thing, one concept, one practice, which is to pay attention to the way you are paying attention. That is my definition of meditation in a way. It also comes from Dr. Les Femi, now deceased, who wrote books on opening your focus. And this is the most important thing. When you pay attention to how you're paying attention, you begin to notice more and more, is my attention a narrow focus on something in particular, whether it's a thought, a bodily sensation, an emotion, another person, or something in the environment? Or is it a more relaxed, open focus where I take in sights and sounds and sensations all in one open awareness? Narrow focus, stressful, concentrated, you actually can't maintain it for that long. Open focus, I kind of lean back into the spacious, open awareness. My attention opens into spaciousness. I take in a lot in a very relaxed way. My awareness hasn't got a lot of detail, but there's a lot of spaciousness and openness in it. So paying attention to how I'm paying attention. As I discussed before, a lot of the time, our attention is narrowly focused on the story which I'm constantly telling myself about what is happening now, what is going to happen in the future, what happened in the past, who I am. He said, she said, the world said. A constant storytelling to kind of stabilize a sense of identity. And basically, storytelling requires a rather narrow focus because the stories are all very narrow. They're not spacious. And we're lost in the story as opposed to being lost in the senses of what is happening now. We're either in the story or we're in the senses. There's nothing in between. In the story, we're in the left hemisphere. The left hemisphere tells the story all the time. It's a compulsive liar. It makes up things without any conscience, as long as it's a story. We know this from experiments on split brain people who've had the connection between their two hemispheres severed. And we know that the left brain continually concocts a story to explain what is going on without any reference to what is actually going on. The left brain concocts a story about what is going on, which is consistent with stuff it knows from the past, from memory, irrespective of what is actually going on, which is what the right hemisphere is aware of. The right hemisphere is always centered in the big picture of what is happening now. It knows more about what's going on in the body. It knows more about what's going on with the person in front of you. It's got context for what is going on. Left brain has no context. It just makes up a story on the basis of its previous beliefs. So nothing new can enter the left hemisphere, or only with great difficulty. This is why it's so easy to believe nonsense. It's so easy to believe a conspiracy theory. Why not? If you're unaware of what's actually going on, and if you're not interested in what's actually going on, then why not subscribe to a simple story which will stabilize your sense of identity as a person and as a person who belongs to a particular economic, social, ethnic, or political group. All right, better go on and do something, else I should start raving on. So meditation, paying attention to how I'm paying attention. Let's do the gap exercise to center ourselves so that we're more able to pay attention to how we're paying attention. So, gap, G or grounding. Let's ground ourselves, first of all, by imagining that T, the shoulders and the spine. Let's imagine our breath going up and down the spine. So first, we relax the shoulders. You can move them around a bit, just to let them go and relax. Now let's imagine the breath coming in through our nose, going down through the spinal column like a hollow tube. And then on the exhale, coming up through that tube. And let's do 6 in, 6 out, or 4 in and 4 out, if you wish. For just 5 rounds to feel that air going up and down our spinal columns, or imagine in some way. Okay, so we're going to be breathing in for 6, out for 6, up and down the spinal column. Inspiration, breathing down. Expiration, breathing up through the hollow tube of the spine. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Taking a big breath through the nose and relaxing. So you exhale through the mouth. Becoming aware that low diaphragmatic breathing, low and relaxed diaphragmatic breathing. So I'm grounding. I'm sitting in a chair or lying or reclining. I feel centered in my spine and my shoulders are relaxed. Okay. Let's do the A of gap, awareness, which is probably better named spaciousness. Let's become spacious. I'm centered, sitting, aware of my spine. I feel space above me. Just relax. Feel the space above. Try and keep your eyes just relaxed and looking forward in an unfocused sort of way. You can close them if you wish. Aware of the space above me. Infinite space above me. I'm aware of the space below me. Awareness is down into the earth, beyond the earth. Great space below me, infinite space below. I'm sitting with my spine erect and straight, connecting the great space above and the great space below. Aware of the great space to my right side. Just be aware that your eyes want to move in that direction, but that is focused attention. We just open our attention and feel with our whole body a great space on the right. And now on our left. Feeling the great space on our left side. Keeping the eyes nice and soft and relaxed and looking forward. Good. Now I'm aware of the space in front of me. And I'm not looking at anything in front of me. My eyes are soft. I'm not focused on anything. There's a great space in front of me, infinite space. And that's the more challenging part, which is I'm aware of the great space behind me. And you definitely can't focus your eyes on anything behind you, but to feel into that space. It can help to feel some of the space behind you. You know, just get that sense, that bodily sense that there is space behind you by moving your hand and arm around behind. Feel space behind. My eyes are soft and focused. I feel that great space behind. Now I feel that I am sitting in my body in the middle of a sphere of space. I'm sitting in the middle of a sphere of space. Now in that sphere of space, there are sounds. If you're indoors, there may not be many sounds, but you may hear some sounds from outside. Be aware of sounds arising in that space. Try not to focus your attention on the sound or move your attention in a sort of focus beam in that direction. You're in the great space. You are that great space of attention and awareness. Simply hear sounds arising in space while maintaining that feeling, that appreciation of space over you. This is open awareness, also called open focus, Les Fenney's term, or open attention. Open attention is very relaxing because you're not focusing in on anything. When you focus in on something with a narrow beam of attention, it's stressful. And stress moves us into a mode of narrow focus. Vicious circle. The more you focus in on something, the more stressed you become, the more you're focusing on it. That's why we become obsessed with things. We can't get out of that attention loop. And we can obsess about anything. We can obsess about bodily symptoms. We can obsess about relationships. We can obsess about anything. We just get stuck on something. Getting stuck. Opening one's focus is one way of addressing that. Good. When we're in a state of this open focus and spaciousness, we then become aware that we are aware. We're aware, we are aware. We are aware of presence, beingness. Breathing is relaxed, diaphragmatic breathing. We're centered. The column of the spine and the shoulders. We're spacious in our wings. And we are aware that we are alive, that there is beingness. That there is beingness. We're alive. It is. Life is. Life is. Life is. And the is, the awareness, the presence, doesn't belong to us. It just is. It's not here, and it's not out there. It's gone. There's just awareness. Now, in all of this, the attention is flickering, of course. We go back to the store, we go back to discomfort, we go back to planning, worrying, remembering, comparing, judging. It goes on and on. The attention flickers. Of course, that's natural. That's what the brain does. We don't worry about it. We return either to grounding, or feeling that T of spine and shoulders, or we return to feeling the openness and spaciousness, or we return to the isness. All of those are objects for our awareness. From the very specific feeling that you're this grounded in this body and in the spine and shoulders, to more rarefied feeling that you are that spaciousness, to more rarefied still feeling that you are the isness, feeling you are the isness. You can do whichever you want, whichever feels better. Come back to the isness, come back to the spaciousness, come back to the groundedness in the body. It's all good. It's all one thing. It's not separate things. They're all just one thing. And you can return to whichever is your preference. Good. So I want to add something with the breath now. We've talked a lot about vagus and heart rate variability, parasympathetic nervous system. People forget that the parasympathetic nervous system has two parts. One is the vagus nerves coming down and innervating the organs in the chest, in the upper abdomen. But the second part comes out of the base of the spine, innervates the pelvis, lower abdomen, and is equally important. It's something we need to pay attention to because I've discussed the red light reflex. When we're stressed with a fright, then we know the body goes up, shoulders go up, the breath stops in inhalation. We tense our necks, we tense our lower back. It's like, this is just a metaphor, energy comes up from the lower body into the upper body. When we relax, it's like energy flows back down into the body, and the top of the body and the bottom of the body return to balance. But we can be chronically in the upper body. That's why we're maybe chronically breathing with our chest, why we chronically have neck and shoulder tension, headaches, so on and so forth. Going back down is the essence of relaxing in the body. Going back down. To go back down, we need to generally relax, and we may also want to specifically relax the parasympathetic, the relaxing nerves in the pelvis and the lower abdomen. One way of doing this is through the breath. You're going to breathe in. The breath is going to go down the spine. And then that breath is going to spread out from the lower spine into the pelvis and lower abdomen. Some of it can go down the legs, but basically everywhere below the belly button is going to relax. We just feel the breath spreading out into those areas. We don't do anything else. Just feel the breath spreading out to those areas. We're breathing in. You can make the breath colored if you want. A nice healing color like a pinky gold, green. Allow that color to spread out. But preferably it should be a warmish color for the lower belly. Unless you have inflammatory problems in the lower body. That's pink is usually pretty safe. Pinky gold or white are usually pretty safe.
What about purple?
Purple is fine, but because it's got a little bit of red in it. But blue is getting a little bit cold. But you have purple, the royal color. Why not?
Thank you.
No problem. So we're going to breathe in for 6 or 4. Then on the exhalation, that breath, maybe a colored breath, it's going to spread out in the pelvis, lower abdomen, and down the legs. Let's do 9 rounds of balanced breath. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And finish. Good. Good. Now, in settling down and just coming into oneself, and we may want to do that several times during the day, coinciding, we hope, with the ultradian rhythms, mid to later morning, after lunch, mid to late afternoon, particularly good times. We may do the GAP procedure, grounding awareness presence. We can go through that sequence quite quickly once we're practiced at it. We don't want to make a big deal about it. We don't want anything to become onerous. It should be relaxed and easy. I'm not saying monks. Or, and one can mix and match this, you can do that little phraseology that I was telling you about last time, which is you just sit quietly, relax the shoulders, feel the erect spine. You say to yourself, right now, I want nothing. Right now, I fear nothing. Right now, I know nothing. Right now, do nothing. Just relax and I'll go through that again. You repeat it to yourself. Right now, I want nothing. Right now, I fear nothing. Right now, I know nothing. Right now, I can do nothing. I find saying that as I settle down with my cup of tea, hopefully in the garden on good days, I find that incredibly powerful. Each of those phrases, as it were, counteracts our tendencies to constantly be searching for the next experience. I want nothing. Be consciously anxious about what happens next. But right now, I fear nothing. To think we know what's going on, telling the story, but actually I know nothing. And obsessing about controlling myself, my environment, others, fueled by fear, obviously. Right now, I can do nothing. This way, we surrender. We surrender craving, fear, control mania, and spurious knowledge. Surrender. The posture of meditation, of course, is surrender. It is waiting. It is listening. Listening in the broad sense of the word. And a great, yes, somebody's commented, a great way of lying there at 2 o'clock in the morning and can't get to sleep. Yes, I'm not looking for sleep. I'm not fearing lack of sleep right now. I don't know why I can't sleep. I can do nothing about sleep. I surrender to what is. The posture in meditation is surrender to what is. This is super important. You know, meditation, we are meditating because, well, why aren't we meditating? We've got to be very clear why we're meditating. We're meditating to surrender all the nonsense that's accumulated in our mind. All the nonsense that's accumulated in our mind. This is a developmental thing. The first half of life, till you're in your mid-40s, maybe even 50, you accumulate stuff. You accumulate an identity, you accumulate stuff around you, you accumulate relationships, and you accumulate this complex story about who you are and what the world is. And in the second half of life, or if you're lucky, the next 25 or 30 years, you let it go. Because none of it's necessary or true. Because, and here's the kicker, which you hear about most explicitly in non-dual philosophers like Advaita or the Tibetan Dzogchen. You don't need to add anything to what you are. You can't add anything to awareness. You cannot add anything. You can only take away. There is only awareness. There is only isness, beingness. You can't add to it. People often go into meditation because they're looking for states of tranquility, states of bliss, states of enlightenment, and relief of suffering. A lot of it, and a lot of religious practice and meditation, as you are all aware, is based on the idea that there's something wrong with you. All psychological therapies are based on the idea that there's something wrong with you. And of course, there's nothing wrong with you. So much spiritual practice and much psychological therapy are based on a complete misapprehension. There's something wrong with your awareness. That's it. You can't add to it. It's already there. You're already aware. You wake up in the morning, you're aware. Actually, you've been aware all the time you were asleep. Just don't remember it. You're never unconscious. Your body may appear to be unconscious, but you're never unconscious. There's always awareness. Because have you ever been aware of being unconscious? No. You're always aware. That's all. And that awareness, spaciousness, and stillness, and fecundity, everything new and fresh comes out of the nothingness, which is awareness. Nobody knows what that awareness is. Even the great sages actually don't know what it is because there's nothing to compare it with. It's the great mystery. It's the great mystery. We call it various things. It's the great mystery. It's just awareness. You can't add anything to it. You can do yoga, meditation till you're blue in the face, but you won't add anything to simple awareness.
Can I ask a question?
Surely.
Would you say acceptance is adding to awareness or not?
Oh, I think that's a very good point. And acceptance, of course, is part and parcel of surrender. And absolutely being with what is. And that's all we can do. We can only be with what is. Acceptance means we've dropped something. We've dropped an expectation. We've dropped a want. We've dropped a fear. We're accepting what is. This is why I like the book Loving What Is by, what's her name? What is her name, folks? Loving What Is. Byron Katie. Byron Katie's books are just spot on because, Byron Katie was at rock bottom. It was a classic rock bottom experience that people in AA talk about, people who've recovered from addictions and other serious illnesses talk about. You reach rock bottom, you've got nothing left. And she had been a very successful person in the world, but one reason or another became extremely depressed. I think she had an alcohol problem. She's finds herself in a halfway house, lying on the floor, waking up one morning with a cockroach crawling over her foot. You can't go any lower. That's when you wake up to what is. Well, I've left and lost everything that was in the story. The story is absolutely shot. When the story is absolutely shot, then you're open to what is, because what is still shining as brightly as when you had a mansion in Bel Air and the latest Mercedes. What is hasn't changed. The what is hasn't changed since any of us were toddlers. That sense of I am, which is consciousness, awareness, doesn't change at all. It's unchangeable. It's unchanging. It cannot change because it's already enough. It is what is. And that is the truth. There's only what is. And we are that what is, and we are perfectly okay. Thanks very much. We're perfectly all right. We are good people because we are life, the life force, awareness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Shiva Shakti. That is it. That's it. And coming back to ourselves during the day, particularly during those ultradian times, when we ground, we become spacious, we become aware of the is, beingness, and we just open our attention to the isness. That is what sanity is. That's what, for me, works in meditation. And it's not meditation, it's just sitting. I'm sitting in the garden. I'm sitting in the garden with a cup of coffee, being. How great is that? You can't go any further than that. All ecstasies, all blisses, all states which are transient, they're just states arising in awareness. You are that awareness. Oh gosh, I'm wiseacring here too much, folks. I'm wiseacring too much. So let's see how we are at the end of all my wiseacring. That position of resting in isness, in beingness, in a state of listening and openness is most clearly enunciated in the works of Jean Klein, who wrote several books. They're all transcriptions of talks he gave. He's not living anymore. Jean Klein, this is his book, I Am, but there are many books and audios and YouTube clips of him talking about non-duality, just being the isness, being the isness. Or as the great Christian Saint Meister Eckhart said many hundreds of years ago, God is is. God is is. God is is. Of course, he wasn't very popular with the authorities, and it is said that he was deliberately bumped off because you can't have Christians going around saying God is is. I mean, that's just not on. We can't have any religion going around saying God is is. It's not popular. So, well, I'm happy with questions and questions. I'll leave you with one other thing. And I realize I've been talking too much today, but that's my prerogative, as it's our last session for a while. And I won't have the pleasure of talking with you for a few weeks. The great Tibetan teacher, Longchen Pa, who lived in the 1300s, so a long time ago, he said the following: in this life, since everything is an appearance, perfect in what it is, having nothing to do with good or bad, acceptance or rejection, then you may well burst out laughing. I'll just say that again. Since in this life everything is an appearance, perfect in what it is, having nothing to do with good or bad, acceptance or rejection, then you may well burst out. For me, the crucial part of that is you don't get embroiled in good and bad, acceptance and rejection. Everything is just an appearance arising in awareness. Always identify with the awareness, not with what is arising. That can be difficult if we're in difficult circumstances, painful circumstances, stressful circumstances. We just do the best we can. Coming back to ourselves, being spacious, being aware that we are isness, there's presence, and we don't know what that presence is, and that's great. It's great not to know what it is, because then the left hemisphere can't get in on the act. It's going to concoct some philosophy about what isness is and what God is. It's just all complete nonsense, as we see from all the philosophers who've had a go at it for thousands of years. They haven't come out the other end with very satisfactory answers. It's just isness. So Peter's flashed up to the Byron Katie book is online. Her best book, I think, is 1,000 Names for Joy. Wonderful, which she wrote with her husband, Stephen Mitchell. I may have the title slightly wrong, but wonderful, wonderful books. Wonderful books. And just reminders, come back to yourself. Come back to yourself. Come back to yourself. Relax, be spacious, open up to the senses. You can't go wrong when you're in the senses. Just don't want to be in the story. Opening to the senses. Coming back to the breath, because the breath always anchors us in the now. The breath there, you can think of it as at the bottom of the spine there, pumping the air up and down the spine. Relaxing the shoulders, centering, spacious. Awareness and presence. Anybody like to ask a question or comment? It's all good. Maybe I've beaten you into submission.
Following on from the acceptance, my chiropractor talks about AAA, awareness, acknowledge, accept.
Yes.
And I probably, like most people, can come to the awareness, can come to the acknowledgement, but then have more issues, I guess, or more resistance with the acceptance.
Yes. Yes. Good point. And look, a lot could be said about that. I mean, this is so important. Acceptance comes, I think, either because we've got to rock bottom and there's nowhere to go except acceptance, or it comes from understanding. And understanding is based on, for me, it's based on the idea, and this is a contentious subject, which is best presented as a dialogue with people because it's contentious, is that we have to surrender the idea of any free will or choice. We have no free will or choice. We are what we are. We're isness. And the will of the great mystery plays through us. We are the channels of play through which the great mystery expresses itself in infinite forms. And the idea that we have any control whatever, that we have a choice, that we make decisions, that there are alternatives, is in my mind a completely delusional system of thought, which we are very deeply embedded in the West.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not true in my mind. It is not true. And the science backs us up on that. You know, anybody who's
So
wants,
you would say we're more like the Matrix?
I would. I mean, yeah, the Matrix is a wonderful fairy tale about being in the dream, being in a dream. And waking up is realizing that you're not an individual choice, that you're a channel of the whole. And that's extremely liberating. You know, people ask the Buddha, well, who are you? You know, are you the reincarnation of so and so? Or, you know, are you a divine being from some other realm or whatever it was? No, he said, I'm none of these things. He said, I'm just someone who's awake. Fabulous thing to answer, you know. No religious obfuscation there. No, I'm just somebody who's awake. The implication is, sorry, you lot are in a dream. All you have to do is wake up. And waking up means accepting, I think, that the idea of individuality, choice, and individual freedom is a story that has to be surrendered to be truly free and enjoy the play of the whole, and not our individual aspirations for things. This is a big ask. You know, this is a big ask, and the great spiritual teachers knew this. You know, so Jesus would say to someone, you know, come and follow me. Or, don't go back and tell your family what you're doing. Don't have time for that. Come with me. I.e., you know, can you give it all up for me? Well, many are called, but few are chosen, as the good book says. But that's all right. We're all part of the play, whether we wake up or not. It's all part of the play. God choosing not to wake up, or God choosing to wake up, or God choosing to suffer, or God choosing to have a wonderful life. It's nothing to do with us. This is a quite, you know, I shouldn't be going on like this, Linda. You got me going now.
Sorry.
I just should. That's because it was a topic for a whole other sort of day when we can all meet together and we can have dialogue about this. Because wow, you know, this is malt whiskey of a very, very old age.